Coming up, another yarn over the back fence with Walter Williams and Ashleigh Mack, this month with special guest, local stand-up comedian Darren Hallesy. Also on the show, what's happening with Motoland at Tivoli? Will the new Springfield Central AFL stadium pass its first test? Flood buybacks, population growth, and when did Christmas lights become a thing? It's Monday, November 21, 2022, and I'm Alan Roebuck. Welcome to Ipswich Today, which acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which it is produced and pays respects to elders past, present and emerging. This podcast is supported by Kinetics, people-powered web hosting trusted by Australian businesses since 1999. Walter Williams has called Ipswich home for 31 years, and you know his voice on many TV and radio ads. He was previously heard on QFM, Star, River, 4BC, who knows where else. Welcome, Walt.
Thank you, mate. Yes, you've heard me before.
Ashleigh Mack was born in Ipswich and growing up in Ebbw he claims didn't affect him very much at all. He was the first voice on QFM in 1990. He's still a media tart and owns a small business. Welcome, Ash.
Mate, great to be here.
And it's another Over the Back Fence, the November edition, and we're going to do something we've only done once or twice before. We invite a guest on the telephone, and we're going to kick it off by welcoming Darren Hallesy to the show. Welcome, Darren.
G'day, guys. How you going?
I've got Darren on the phone to talk about live theatre, especially comedy, because on last Friday night, he was on stage at Stitch in the Switch. How was the show, Darren?
The show went really well. It's the first time I've done stand-up for over 7 years, to be honest. And the organiser of the show, I did a story on him quite a while ago when he was running a comedy workshop in Ipswich, which was attended very well. And he said he had some spots coming up. So I thought, why not? I'll give it another crack. And it's like riding a bicycle, to be honest. Once you get it in your blood, you can just jump up there and do it again. And I really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. What's the current state of live comedy in Ipswich? And I'll ask Walt Nash to ask a couple of questions as well. But what's the current state of live comedy here?
Well, at the moment, we've got Stitch in the Switch, which happens at the Civic Centre once a month, and they really are getting some good comics there. Mel Buddle has appeared there a few times. She's now a local. But there's always an open spot space for anyone who wants to have a crack and take that first spot. You just need 5 minutes of good material. Just go up and have a go. But there's also one of the best kept secrets in Ipswich is there's a live comedy show every Tuesday at CSI over near Riverlink. Every Tuesday night they have free live comedy, and it's totally free. You can go along, see some amateur acts, see some professionals, and I've been to a couple of those and they're pretty good. But I don't know why, for some reason, Ipswich has never really had a dedicated comedy space in Ipswich. I mean, we have him in Brisbane. Lots of pubs have got reputations. There's open mic nights every night of the week. There's a sit-down comedy club. But for some reason, Ipswich has just never managed to crack a dedicated comedy room, and I don't know why that is. I mean, Ipswich,
it might be because you have to have the size of footballs to get up on stage in front of those people, mate. I really admire you. You and your brother are very, very funny people, though.
Well, I don't know about the size of that, but yeah, look, it's just something I really enjoy doing, because for many years I started doing it when I was about 21, and I started doing it at the Comedy Store in Sydney in amateur night every Wednesday. And some of the guys who were there with me, we're talking Jamone, Akmal, Adam Hills, all the guys I did it with, they've all gone on to have massive careers. But my problem was I would get so nervous and overthink it that I would vomit before I went on, and I'd vomit when I came off. And after a few months of this, I thought, why am I doing this? I thought, this is no way to do it. And I gave it up for 20 odd years because I just couldn't get over the nerves. But then I was actually interviewing Adam Hills out of interest when I was a journalist, and I told him this story, and he remembered me from those days, and he said, go and do a stand-up course. So I actually found a stand-up course in Brisbane, and that taught me how to get up on, not only to write material, which can be short and punchy, but also how to get up on stage and look every person in the eye and have no fear of holding that microphone and talking in front of an audience. And I MC weddings, I've MC'd events in Ipswich. I've actually gotten there in front of up to 3,000 people and just made stuff up on the spot. And once you get that gift, it is a wonderful thing, because the big number one fear of most people is talking in public. I think you'll all back me up here.
Oh yeah.
But once you get over that fear, it's gone forever, and it's just a wonderful thing. So any chance I get to get a mic and just get up and tell some jokes and entertain people, you can count me in.
Ash, are you waiting to get on stage?
No. What I was going to say is, it's a funny thing, and people who I respect got me over my stage fright by telling me if I didn't have the stage fright, it just meant that I didn't care, right? Stage fright means you care about what sort of job you're going to do. So, if you're going on stage without some form of stage fright, you're not doing it right.
Walt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Absolutely true. Yeah, you've got to have some butterflies. I don't know about throwing up every time, Darren. That sounds a little severe, but, could help with the weight problem. So
people used to throw up after listening to my radio show.
But I've done MC work for years, and I find that easy. And you can crack gags and stuff. But like Ashleigh said, actually standing up and doing a 5-minute set or beyond is something I haven't tried yet. But maybe I will next year.
Oh, geez.
I would be
because of the material you've been posting on Facebook.
Yeah, I would be petrified being introduced. I think the big weight on the shoulders would be being introduced as a stand-up comic. I think I'd fail miserably on that one.
Yeah. And Anthony Lamont, the man who MCs the shows that Darren's talking about, actually conducted a course at the beginning of this year in Ipswich, of which the graduates have all been each month performing on stage as part of Stitch and the Switch. They've been the opening act. And yeah, which has been brilliant. And like Darren also mentioned, I've been over to CSI in Miami and also in Ipswich, and they have a terrific...
Your jokes are so bad.
They're old jokes. They have a terrific open mic night, and a couple of professionals get up as well. So that's another avenue for anyone who thinks they can tell a gag.
Oh, interesting. All right, Darren, look, we'll wrap it up in a sec, but while we've got you, being the number one Lions fan and also a regular contributor in the past to Kelly Higgins Devine on ABC Radio Brisbane, what are your thoughts on the AFLW Grand Final being held at the new stadium as the debut game for the stadium? Is it going to work?
Well, my biggest concern is the turf was only laid 2 weeks ago. Now, my biggest question is, this is a grand final. Why on earth could it not be held at the Gabba? Because I know we're in cricket season, but surely they could play one game and still protect the wicket. What is so sacred about the wicket at the Gabba? I don't understand. How often are we going to get this chance again to have a grand final at the Gabba? So we're holding it at a stadium, which is great for Ipswich, but they've never held an event there. It's never been open. I just have a big fear that it's going to be a bit of a shambles for people to get in, and I'm sure they're going to fill it very easily, because tickets are going to go very quickly. They're saying it's only 18,000 tickets. I do have concerns about how it's all going to run. And also, because the turf is so fresh, the Lions are going to lose any home ground advantage because they've never played on that ground as well. It is what it is. This is a situation we're in. It's nearly summer. We're in cricket season, and cricket grounds are reluctant to give up their sacred turf. So I guess we just got to make the best of it and hope the Lions will win.
How long did you say the turf's been down, Darren?
2 weeks.
To my understanding, I think it's been 2 or 3 weeks, because I did see it on Facebook when they were the Springfield Arena has been placing regular updates, and I'm sure I saw it was definitely within a month. The turf is down and it's all we're ready to go, but surely turf needs more time than that to settle.
And it's been nice and hot. Been nice and hot too. So yeah, it will be a challenge. And thanks for joining us on Over the Back Fence on Ipswich today.
All right, thanks guys. All the best.
Catch you soon.
Thank you. And talking Stitch and the Switch there, Alan, the next comedy night, the last one for this year, is on this Friday, the 16th of December. And Anthony Lamont back emceeing, Kel Belnaves and Aaron Grox are going to be the main acts.
Okay, let's move on to other subjects now. We're action-packed this month. What's happening at Tivoli with Motoland? ? Well, it has gone all very quiet since flood damaged the track earlier this year, and there has been some stories about this more recently in the Ipswich Tribune. Ashleigh is our local correspondent to the Chuar district. Ashleigh, what have you heard?
Interesting thing. You sent a note saying we were going to chat about this, and lo and behold, this morning on Facebook, one of the Facebook groups I'm in, up comes a post. What's going on at Motoland, because there's machinery noise coming from there. So they're actually working on there this morning, and I'm not too sure whether it's getting it ready for the motocross crew or next door doing his bit.
That's very interesting because there's been, according to the Ipswich Tribune, Pastor Fred at the Tivoli Drive-In's interested in buying the land, but allegedly hasn't had a conversation with the owners Motorcycling Queensland yet. There's also a separate motorcycle club, I think, is interested in getting back in there and doing some motocross. And then, of course, there's the Motoland group.
I believe Motoland Group have actually pulled the pin, and Fred had put out a note on the Facebook groups again a couple of weeks ago saying he was having a little get-together on a Tuesday night where most people couldn't go, and was going to put out his aspirations for the addresses. And I think one was Motorland and the other one was the guy with the goats next door. No, seriously, and he was, no matter what I did when I sent notes back, I couldn't get him to tell me what was going on. You could only find out if you went along to his little meeting. All
right. Well, I'm sure residents nearby will be interested. But do you think there's any value in them revisiting the subdivision idea? I thought that wasn't a bad option for the land, really.
Well, I think it should be. Either that or a high school would be really appreciated out here.
Even more radical thinking. I like it. Yeah.
Wow. But would you put it in a floodplain?
I don't think it is a floodplain.
No, it's not a floodplain. I think it was just...
There
was damage after the rain.
Yeah, that was just from the heavy rain, I think, Walt.
Running into that little Sandy Creek. I think a lot of the dirt went into Sandy Creek.
I don't think it went underwater.
Once upon a time, that where they built all those new houses was set aside for a high school. Then they got rid of that and did a development there. Maybe the Motorland place would be a good spot for a high school because we'll need one here in the future.
Yeah.
A lot of the complaints that have been addressed towards this Motorland thing is the noise, the dust, the soil, the sediment, all of that, right? You know what they haven't thought about is extreme electric scooters and bicycles racing around there. There's going to be no noise, way better for the environment, so quiet, no pollution, and this is a growing sporting sector.
You're out in front, Walt. You're leading the pack there with that idea.
Here's an interesting one for you, Walt. One of the people who was complaining about the noise is known to be deaf.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Thought that was interesting. Okay. Go on.
I forgot to mention something while we had Darren on the phone with us, guys, and that is the Springfield Central AFL Stadium is actually in Springfield Central, not Springfield. And I think I've raised this once before on the show with incorrect place names, and strangers to the area are going to end up going to the wrong suburb saying, where is this stadium?
No, I know you're a stickler for names, but you're right.
It won't be in the GPS as Springfield. It'll be in the GPS as Springfield Central. Same as Orion Shopping Centre, same as the university.
Well, that's funny. I always thought that the university and the shopping centre are in Springfield.
No, Springfield Central.
No, Springfield Central.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And hence that's why the train station is called Springfield Central.
Well, I didn't know that.
There you go. Just you learn
by the way, have you ever been in the car on the road beside the trains running along that line?
Not recently.
If you're doing 100 Ks, they just go straight past. I don't know how fast they get up to, but they hoot.
Great engineering. Who would have thought that narrow gauge trains at 3'6" would ever be going over 80 kilometres an hour? Well, there you go. See, the tilt train broke that barrier. I want to do a shout out now to Rita Langer. 50 years volunteering at Blair State School tuck shop. Can you believe that, men? 50 years.
Hang on. How old is she?
87. I think I made a mistake the other day when I was guesting on 4BC with Spencer House, and I think I said early 80s. I was wrong. 87.
How many cream buns has she sold?
Oh, thousands. Do you think it's some kind of record in tuck shop circles?
It'd have to be.
Yeah, get in touch with Guinness.
I can remember some tuck shop prices, and my favourite items in the tuck shop were savoury mince rolls made on site, and I think they were 10 cents.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your favourite?
Your mum would give you a paper bag with written on what you could have, and it'd be like a sandwich and a cream bun. And if you could forge it, you'd sort of write on it also such and such.
Bad boy.
Boys in Ipswich.
Yeah, bad boy.
You get change out of $1.
You get change out of 20 cents.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, something more serious, and it's something that's ongoing. The flood buybacks, the Resilient Homes Fund. Walt, you're our flood correspondent, as I've mentioned in previous episodes.
Yes.
What's happening?
Well, how long is a piece of string, Alan?
Very long sometimes.
we were told 2 months ago that we would have some result within 6 weeks. We're still waiting. We still don't know what's going on. But I can tell you this, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I have this on fairly good authority. QRA is doing lots of buybacks, as you and I know. Good on them, because they got hammered. But I also heard in Hurston, a home getting a buyback price that when it was bought, it was only worth $800,000 a few years back. Now they're giving them $1.2 million. So they certainly fair prices that they're giving, but I don't know if there'll be anything left for us by the time they've given all the millionaires in Hurston their money.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because there was a big point made when the scheme was announced that they would be using valuations that predated the floods earlier this year. So it sounds like they are doing that if you're mentioning, $1 million plus price tags in that area.
And then this person in question apparently is arguing the toss over 1.2. And their friends are saying, take the money.
Yes.
Get out.
Don't be greedy, folks.
So how's yours going? Do you think, what are you optimistic, Walter?
No, it'd be nice, but we're so isolated. I don't think anyone gives a damn. But it was interesting. Our flood insurance was up for renewal this month. We got the paperwork from Allianz, and it said December 6th renewal and almost triple what you're currently paying. Whoa. So it's going from $6.5 to $18,000 per annum.
Wow.
Ooh,
we've
Walter.
changed insurance companies.
Yeah, I'm sure
we had
to.
I can't afford $18,000 worth of insurance. But the point is, and I think there's going to be a lot of other people in this boat that are going to get ridiculous insurance policy premiums hikes. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to just go, no, I can't afford it anymore. So come the next flood, there's going to be even more people who will have their hands up going, I was uninsured instead of being insured and protected against any potential flood damage, etc.
You know how insurance came about, don't you? Originally insurance came about because guys who would sail boats of cargo said, hang on, we've got to spread our losses if one of them sinks. So they'd have 6 boats and put a sixth of the cargo in each boat. And that way, if one of them sunk, they only lost a sixth of it. That's how insurance started. That was the first insurance. Now, the idea is to spread. Now, if you spread if everybody paid for the insurance and spread it across, it would reduce it for you. It'd probably only add a little bit for me. And that would save a lot of hassles. What they're saying to you is they're trying to get rid of any way they could lose money.
Of course they are.
Well, the high risk ones, obviously. Yeah.
By the way, while we're talking flooding, I noticed I did a drive on the weekend out to Brookfield, and on the way I went through Colleges Crossing, and it is still one of the forgotten places of the 2022 flooding. 6+ months later, it's all fenced up still, same as Riverheart Parkland. So what is happening in Ipswich?
I've got some breaking news on Bob Gamble Park for you, Walter.
Please.
Allegedly, it's open from today. We're recording this on the 21st of November, and allegedly it's open today.
Okay, I'll believe it when I see the fences are down. Meantime, I'm calling it the Ungreat Wall of Ipswich.
Let's talk population growth, because that puts pressure on where you can build houses, and we don't want any more built on floodplains. Ipswich City Council, that is claiming Brisbane will run out of land to build new homes in about 3 years. That's a bit of a scary thought. Yeah.
Hang on, does that mean Brisbane's going to run out of land that's suitable to build on, that has infrastructure that's already there? Or is it just saying, well, we've only got this much prepared?
I don't have the fine print there, Ash, but it's a pretty big claim that Brisbane will run out of land to build new homes in about 3 years. That's, of course, if they don't want to knock down any more trees and start some greenfield subdivisions, I guess. But is this good or bad news for Ipswich? Because, as you know, guys, that we've got stacks of land that's been earmarked for development, the Ripley Valley Priority Development Area, going gangbusters. In fact, in the last quarter, it was the top suburb for new dwellings across Ipswich, and it will continue to be so for some time, I think. So is it good or bad news for Ipswich that Brisbane runs out of places to build new homes?
The more people paying rates, the better. because the more money that comes in, the better. The quicker we get Colleges Crossing and River Hard Parkland fixed up.
But I think we've got to have the infrastructure in place if we're going to have that kind of growth, because I heard we're so close to the 250,000 people mark now in Ipswich City as of the last quarter. That we've got a lot of people, and the infrastructure just doesn't match up with the amount of people we have.
Yes, you're not wrong, Walt, that it's getting very close to 250,000.
That's a lot of sewage, isn't it?
It is a lot of sewage.
You think about it. That's just
trust you to take us straight to the toilet.
Well, no, I'm just thinking that's a lot of sewage you've got to sort out.
Well,
but it is a practical thing you've got to think about.
Oh, by the way, while we're on things like that, can I teach you guys? We worked out a really good trick this morning. At 5 this morning, my wife kicked me out of bed and said, just listen for it. And my job was to listen for the garbage man, right? And work out which direction he was coming from. You ever had those weeks where you've got too much garbage to go in your bin?
No.
We do. We have a lot of garbage. Anyway, so what I did was I listened, and then I went out and he was coming, and I worked out which way he was coming down one side of the street. So I took my bin across, put it on that side. He emptied it. Then I dragged it inside, put the rest of the rubbish in and put it on my side. I got my bin emptied twice this morning.
That is a secret you probably don't want to share, Ashleigh Mack.
Okay. Edit it out or I'm going to jail.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ashleigh Mack is not the Messiah. He's just a very naughty boy.
Yes. Let's finish it with some fun. Not that we haven't had it already in today's episode. Christmas lights. I want to know when Christmas lights became a thing, because I don't remember people decorating their houses as a kid. Just one lonely tree in the house. When did Christmas lights become a thing?
Can I pick up on that? Because I remember back to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation when that movie came out with Chevy Chase, right?
So that's the reason.
Puts it together and they don't work.
Yes.
That's right. They didn't work. But I remember watching that movie and thinking, we don't do that in Australia.
No.
And this was 1989, and we still weren't, not to the extent it is now. Maybe a handful of people throughout Australia were putting lights on their house, but it's a thing in America back in the 80s, whereas I think it took us probably till maybe 30 years ago, the 90s, before Australia got on board with this whole Christmas lights competition thing.
It's a conspiracy. Everything's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy by Bunnings and Aldi to sell those bloody awful little lights. Have you ever noticed? Yes. Once upon a time that wasn't there. Now there's huge piles of them.
Pallets of them.
Yeah. And where do you store all that stuff when it's not Christmas?
Exactly.
In your overfull shed, that's where you store it.
One good thing that did come out this year is we bought a new Christmas tree, and the lights are built in.
So when
you take it out and you plug it in there, it's all done again.
And you don't have the problem of the broken bulb, so the rest of it doesn't work.
Famous last words.
Exactly, yeah.
Good luck with that.
I want to finish up by just mentioning that the Ipswich Christmas Lights competition is open right now, so we'll have the handy link in the show notes for that. With the festive spirit in the air, thank you, Ash, thank you, Walt, for joining Over the Back Fence on Ipswich Today.
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, lads.
And a reminder to look for handy links in the show notes. Ipswich Today is supported by Kinetics, people-powered web hosting trusted by Australian businesses since 1999. This podcast is also listener-supported. Please make a once-only gift or regular donation to help keep it online. Just go to ipswichtoday.com.au and click the donate button on the homepage to make a payment through PayPal. Follow and stream this podcast from your favourite app, including iHeartRadio and Amazon Music. Or play Ipswich Today on smart speakers. Music is supplied by Purple Planet Music. This is Alan Roebuck. Thank you for listening.